नमस्कार, हॅलो अँड वेलकम टू येट अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ पेज टर्नर. आयच्या पुस्तका विशीं आमी उलोवपाचें आसा तें पुस्तक खंयचें हें सांगच्या पयलीं आय वॉन्ट टू रीड आउट अ पीस बाय द न्यूयॉर्क टायम्स which says a radically feel-good story about the murder of no good husbands by a cast of unsinkable women. इतलो इंटरेस्टिंग टेक न्यूयॉर्क टायम्साचो अँड वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द बँडिट क्वीन्स बाय परिनी श्रॉफ. आणि आयज ह्या पुस्तकाचेर उलोवपाक आमच्या मदीं आसात गौरवी केनी खौंटे. गौरवी, वेलकम टू द शो.
Thank you.
Gauravi is the assistant professor in Government College Quepem. She is a writer and moreover she is a vociferous reader. So Gauravi, once again welcome. आणि सुरवातेकूच tell us, why did you choose this book? What is it that fascinated you?
Okay, so I chose this book for a couple of reasons, quite a number of them. The first one is that when I was browsing through the list of books that I should be picking up, the cover attracted me, which is why I'm carrying the book here with me. I want you all to take a look at the cover. It's very attractive. And the play with color, you know, specifically the fact that the cover is entirely black. Very few people go for such a bold statement on their cover page with a black cover and, you know, vibrant letters that stand out. So that attracted me first, although it may sound a little shallow, you know, you say don't judge a book by its cover. But I ended up judging this book by its cover, and I'm glad I did. Secondly, the title, Bandit Queen, because I have been fascinated with the life of Phulan Devi. I've read about it, I've watched the film, and so I was wondering if the book is about that. And yes, it's not about it, but it does have you know, mentions about Phulan. It mentions about her life at some places at quite pivotal junctures in the plot. And thirdly, when I read the blurb behind, I found the plot quite interesting, like you said.
True.
So that's why I thought this is one book that I must read.
So like you said, Gauravi, it does has bits and pieces about Phulan Devi. And when you read the reviews, when you read what has been written in newspapers, you tend to feel whether this is a feminist novel. Does this speak about feminism? What is your take on it?
Yes, so that's quite an interesting and expansive question that you have asked. This book is a feminist book. First of all, it's written by this author called Parini Shroff. She is Gujarati who is based in California currently, as per her details. The protagonist of the book is a woman named Geeta, and she and a couple of her friends are the central characters of the book. And they have a very small group of they are part of a village. The name of the village is not given, it's a fictional village, and they run this group of micro loans. So here are these women who are surviving, who are starting their own small you know, businesses on the basis of you know, the micro loan facility that is provided to them by a man in the village, and they become independent through the help of those micro loans. So the reason why I'm bringing this in with respect to feminism is, you know, the author mentions in an interview, she says, you know, she was asked that, I think the interview was by the Hindu, I don't remember. She says to study, she pursued her education in US, and she says to study she herself had taken a huge loan, and throughout her education her loan was pestering her, it was troubling her. She thought of it as a burden. And she happened to visit her family back in Gujarat, and she came to this village along with her brother, and she met a group of women in this village who were being financed by her father for their micro loans. And she realized that these women are using these micro loans you know, so well. For them, loans are a boon. For them, loans are a way of you know, emancipating themselves, empowering themselves economically. So through that, she realized, why am I thinking of my loan as a, you know, like a hindrance in my success,
like a burden.
Like a burden. So she said, I went back, I completed my education, and I've paid off all my debts. So in that sense, it is quite empowering. Also, secondly, the plot of the book. I won't give out the entire plot because
I don't want you to do that.
All of our readers to, you know, read the book.
True.
But so the main plot line is that the central character Geeta, she is a single, she's a widowed woman who lives in a village, and people have this misconception that she has murdered her husband.
Oh, okay.
And all the other women of the village also believe in that. So one by one, women start approaching her to get rid of their husbands.
Oh, okay.
Although she has not murdered her husband, they want her to get rid of their husbands.
Right.
And then the plot continues as to how one after the other they approach her to get rid of their husbands.
Okay.
And I won't lead you to the ending.
Yeah.
I want you to get to that yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that a widowed woman or a single woman for that matter who's living alone is demonized, is to some extent, there are a lot of social prejudices that she's you know, slapped with, that's just flung on her. And Geeta sort of, you know, goes through all those struggles. All of those prejudices are put on her, and she fights them throughout the plot of the novel. So in that sense, it is also a feminist book. However, I have also had my set of issues with the book, in the sense that there is this group of women who I feel sometimes in the process of trying to, you know, empower themselves, they feel like the only way of doing that is by negating or sort of resisting all the roles that a patriarchal society puts on women. So the women in this book, all of them are, you know, you will see that all of them are taunting motherhood. You know, there is this line throughout the book that says, oh, the privileges of motherhood. I am going through the privileges of motherhood. But you know that they are not saying it, you know, they don't mean it to be a privilege. They are taunting it. So I found it a little odd that every woman in the village, you know, is repeating this narrative of taunting motherhood. It seems a little, I would say, I don't want to call it extreme, I would say it's a little generalized to portray that all women would resist motherhood just because they want to prove that they are, you know, independent women. So that's something that bothered me. But aside from that, the book has quite strong feminist elements, and also the most important element is the presence of Bandit Queen Phulan Devi herself. Geeta says that she's inspired by Phulan Devi and all her struggles, and at every point, you know, Phulan Devi is mentioned, her struggles, the way she was sexually abused, how she then went on to become an MP, even in a, you know, she made a place for herself in a male-dominated field, despite of being abused by men around her all her life. So the book does have strong feminist voices, but I also feel the author somewhere falls prey to certain generalizations.
Okay. But is it so that these women have led a very extreme life? Like for example, we have heard of the Gulabi gang who actually started beating their husbands in the village. And it's a true story. I mean, it's not a fictional thing, and we have seen the movie. So does this novel or the women in this novel are trying to tackle the gender violence or the inequalities that they had to face in their lives?
They are trying to tackle gender violence. They are trying to tackle small issues, you know, that are troubling perhaps many homes. Issues like how alcoholism is affecting the income of the household, how that is then leading to, you know, physical and sexual abuse, not only of the women but also of the children in the house. So such are the issues that are that they are facing. There is no Gulabi gang kind of, there is no coming together of a group of women to sort of, you know, form a gang and fight gender violence. It is all put on Geeta. They expect her to be their leader. So they want to fight the cause, but they want her to be the face behind it. So there's no formation of a social activism group as such.
Gauravi, I also want you to put a little light on the language of this novel. How simple it is, or how it keeps you intrigued into the story.
That's a good question. The language is, I would say, very beautiful in the sense that the author has put in humor in a very nice way in the book. She reminds me of, you know, I was just having a discussion with my colleague in the morning about how very few, I mean, there may be Indian authors who use dark humor in a very excellent manner, but I have not read their works. She's one of the first authors whose, you know, this style of writing that I've read, where she uses dark humor in her language. The issues that she discusses are quite serious. Yeah, it's about physical abuse, you know, demonizing women who are living alone. Quite a lot of social issues that are discussed. But when you read the book, you laugh. You tend to laugh out loud, and that is, you know, a very unique skill. That you will find it in the writings of a lot of Russian writers like Pushkin, Dostoevsky, but you don't find it in a lot of other Indian writers. There may be, like I said, but I have not come across them. So I like her writing in that sense. She has here and there used a couple of, since it's a Gujarati village, she has used a couple of, you know, Gujarati words here. Not many, maybe 1, 3 or 4 maybe that I remember. So that intermingling of a little bit of Gujarati, just to, you know, introduce the language to non-Indian audience, that's there in the language. Other than that, it's a very simple read. It's a fast read. You can. I finished the book in 2 days, and not that I sat with it the whole day. I sat with it during my free time. So it's quite a huge book, but you can. It's a quick read. You enjoy it. There's no slow stretches in between. So her narrative style, I would say, is pretty good.
And it's very true that, you know, it's easy to digest any kind of serious topic if it has little touch of humor here and there. Especially in today's times, I would say we enjoy stand-up comedy more than anything else, but that stand-up comedy has so much serious things to give us. Gauravi, we hear a lot about violence, especially when it comes to women. We hear of molestation cases and rapes and things, and we read this every day in newspapers, but we scarcely hear of stories of strength or stories of struggle or stories of how women are dealing with this. So is this a story of struggle, or a positive story, I would say, where you can, you know, read about how women have dealt with this violence, or how they have faced the situation or the realities that they come across?
Yes, this is indeed a story of you know, resilience and struggle, and I would say strength more than anything else. Now that you mention violence, you know, what I like about this book is that both physical and mental violence is explored very nicely in the book. For example, there are characters, women characters in the book who are going through, who are, you know, taking physical abuse from their husbands, whereas Geeta, there is a nice incident in the book, not to give away the plot, it's not going to hamper your reading, but there is a nice incident in the book where one of the other main characters in the book, Saloni, and Geeta are very good friends, but what happens is it starts bothering her husband, and very slowly he starts brainwashing his wife to take her away from this friend who he knows is somebody who has the strength to think for herself. So he wants his wife to be away from such people, so that, you know, it's easy to ideologically control her. So that mental violence is also explored in the book. Of course, you know, then as the plot progresses, the book becomes about Geeta's struggle. It becomes about her, you know, sort of taking back the power that was snatched from her. So it is a positive read, and that is lacking today, like you mentioned correctly, because you know, even with respect to the kind of cases that are coming out in media and social media, everybody just wants to report the abuse. What happens after that, or what should be the steps taken after that, are not discussed at all. Nobody wants to discuss that. So in that sense, I think this book is very cathartic, and it takes you through that process of facing abuse, resisting it, and then overcoming it. There's a very systematic exploration of that happens.
And Gauravi, like you said, the author has studied abroad, you said, outside the village, right? She has not been in the village through her childhood.
She has not lived in this particular village. This is a fictional village, but she does mention, I was, you know, reading about her life, how did she, you know, despite of not living in a village in Gujarat, how did she write about all
exactly what I wanted wanted to ask you how well she has been able to portray the village life in this novel.
She has, so first I'll tell you what the author says. She says that she visited some of these villages with her brother and father, and then she also says that she watched a couple of YouTube videos about small snippets of you know, village life in Gujarat or women, their basic life, and she gathered her information through that. Of course, she has quite a lot of she's visited the places, but she's not lived in the places herself. Coming to the village description in the book, some of it is quite interesting, you know, very small traits that even you and I practice. Like if, for example, you know, if you are visiting a relative's house, your mother always, you know, my mother always used to tell me, don't go, you know, empty-handed.
Yeah, right.
So those are the concepts that she has. Then the local village alcohol shop. There's a little bit of discussion on whether locally brewed alcohol is good or not. Okay, there's an alcohol seller in the picture. Village food is discussed, village practices are discussed. What I think was a little bit of, not disturbing, but and this is not specific only to this author. What I've seen many Indian authors who have gone outside the country and then written books do is that they try to romanticize maybe Indian rural life a little bit to sell it to the Western audience. So I see that happening in this book, but you know, she's not the only one who's done that, and perhaps she was conditioned into it, so I'm not holding her accountable for it. But there is a little bit of romanticization of village life that has happened, so she can perhaps try and sell it to the Western audience. It doesn't hamper your reading of the book, but you know, I think it's time we change that narrative about India a little, rather than continuing with it.
Yeah, because why I asked you is also because when we read a particular novel and we read about a village which we have not seen in particular, we try to portray it in our mind. So it depends on how well the writer has written about it and how realistic he is about the village, like you said. Gauravi, before ending the show, I would want you to read some part of the book so that our viewers have a little idea about the novel, the language of the novel, keeping aside the plot, of course, and they would be more interested in reading the novel themselves.
I'll do that. Okay, how much would you expect me to read? 1 page?
Should be fine.
Okay. So there is this nice discussion between Geeta, the protagonist, and her friend Saloni's son. The reason I've chosen this passage is because everybody in the village, like I said, you know, she's living alone without a husband. So they've started calling her a chudel. And the children think that she eats children. She has made a dog eat up her husband. Various stories cooked up about her. You know, as kids, we were told about such women, you know, and I remember being scared of such an old woman in my own village. So,
but that's very sad also.
Yeah, it is quite sad. Okay, so so there is this boy who knocks at her door, and Geeta says, "What?" She snapped at the boy after opening her door. Wary, he took a step back. "Please don't make my bowels boil and fall out of my butt." She would have rolled her eyes, but she hadn't heard that one before. She could appreciate imagination. "Fine, your bowels will remain as is." "Thanks." He closed his eyes in brief relief. "Mummy says, come quick." "I don't care what your mummy says, said Geeta. "Why are you so cranky?" Bandit barked, and the boy's round face perked. Bandit is Geeta's dog. "Hey, is that a puppy? I love puppies, but we can't have one cause mummy is allergic." Geeta snorted. "The only thing your mother is allergic to is brains." The boy craned to peek inside her home. "Do you have any snacks?" Appalling. Would that she had helped raise this heathen in short pants. "No, I don't have any snacks, you rude boy. You have your mother's manners. Go home." She slammed the door. He knocked again. "Please come, auntie. She'll be angry if I don't come back with you." Geeta paused in shutting the door again. "Will she hit you?" The boy looked at her strangely. "No." "Pity." She said, "If you refused, I should tell you." As he strained to remember, his eyes and lips bunched towards his nose as though trying to overcome a prolonged constipation. The boy's body relaxed in defeat. I don't know. Something about Farah auntie and samosas and let's go. They shared about 3 peaceful steps before the boy started again, his voice helium high with hope. Does Farah auntie have samosas? I love samosas. Geeta muttered. Well, I'd stay away from hers.
Okay.
So this passage is, this. I just want your attention to be to this. Go to this line. Please don't make my bowels boil. And so he thinks that
True.
if she's angry,
exactly,
she's going to make his bowels boil.
Very true.
So that's the kind of fear that the children are raised with about her, just because she's a widow.
Right. Thank you so much, Gauravi. I'm sure our viewers already want to go and buy this book and read this book in totality. But this was a very, very interesting read, and just for our viewers' information, this novel was released this year itself, and it is available everywhere. It's available on all web platforms, and also also available in most of the bookshops in Goa. So you can go and grab your copy. And thank you once again, Gauravi, for taking us through this journey of the Bandit Queens. And thank you to our viewers for joining us once again. And please keep following Reads and Books and Palashakni Studios, and do keep watching Page Turner for more such episodes. Thank you once again.